So, this is a review for the essential facts of equine physical therapy and sports medicine. And this is a book that has been put together and edited with a whole load of contributors. It was launched last year, and I actually met Beta, who was the lady that edited this book, at the IAVRPT symposium. And that's where this book was officially launched. And I managed to pick a copy up from her. Made my luggage quite heavy coming home because I got the canine version as well. And the companies that were associated with his book, the authors that contributed, you've got Kevin Hausler, Steve Adair, Hilary Clayton, Russell McKenzie-Guire, Melissa King. You've got Vibke Elbrond and Solange McHale, all sorts of people that you see writing papers all the time. Some really, really knowledgeable horse people. And the chapters that you have in this book are just incredible. So you start with sort of how to recognize pain, pain management. You go into anatomy, and the anatomy drawings in this book are incredible. There's dissection photographs, there's lists of origin, insertion, function, innovation. I mean, for anatomy, this book is exceptional. Like everything, there are things that differ a little bit. So some of the origins and insertions do differ to other texts, and some of the muscles are a little bit oversimplified in places. But generally, this is a really, really good reference text to have. Some really detailed drawings, and it's all been pulled together really well. And when you go into the different chapters, there are video QR codes. So you can scan those QR codes and actually find video examples of how to do a lameness assessment, how to do palpation, how to do manual therapy. So there's some really, really good uh, like media backup to it as well. It isn't just a book. And then you have the different sections, the different chapters. So as you go through, you've got obviously your initial one on pain and assessment. You've got patient assessment. You've got injury prevention, which that entails things like looking at saddle and bridle fit, the discussion, the ongoing discussion of asymmetry versus laterality in the horse, nutrition, management. There's a whole section on ethics and welfare. You go into the manual therapy section, and you have the different massage therapies, myofascial treatments, joint mobilization, and then there's a chapter on chiropractic and osteopathy. And the osteopathy section is written by Julia Brooks, who is incredibly knowledgeable. I was very lucky to meet her out in Thailand in March when I went out there with Tony Nevin, and got chatting to her. And she is just the most incredible woman. If you ever get the chance to attend any of her lectures, or buy any of her books, she is just an absolute font of knowledge. And so she wrote the chapter and put the chapter on osteopathy together, which is a really interesting read. There's then a chapter on therapeutic exercises. So that goes through proprioceptive exercises, work with balance pads, different stretches, and looking at treadmills and horse walkers, and aquatic treadmills, and then how to construct exercise programs post injury. And one thing I really like about this book is it does go quite heavily into rehab programs, which I'll come on to in a little bit. But we then have two sections dedicated to thermal treatment and then electrotherapy. So your thermo treatment, you have cryotherapy and your heat therapy, and there's quite a lot of discussion through there about how you can use different bits of equipment for hot and cold, all the way from simple boots and bandages through to cryo pens and some quite intensive heat applications. And then you get onto your electrotherapy section, where you're looking at laser, ultrasound, neuromuscle stim, pulse magnet therapy. There's a section on radio frequency, which is very, very interesting. A lot of the research for that chapter was actually supplied by Indiba. And then there's a couple of other things which are more sort of veterinary related, so nuclear magnetic resonance therapy and percutaneous needle electrolysis. And these are just really interesting sections to read. So as a general body worker, you wouldn't be, or certainly in the UK, you wouldn't be putting needles into the horse. You wouldn't be using those sort of modalities, but it is very interesting to have an awareness of what they are. So this book really, encompasses absolutely everything. And then there's a section on other treatment modalities, so compression bandaging, kinesiology taping, acupuncture, dry needling, cupping, and even the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And again, in the UK, we can't do dry needling or acupuncture. Just as a physiotherapist, you have to be a vet in order to break the skin. But it is very interesting to read about those subjects. And it's very, very interesting to use laser on those acupuncture points. So knowing the biology and the process behind acupuncture does, it is worth knowing. And then on to the second to last section, which is about hoof balance and shoeing. So again, most body workers, most physios wouldn't be farriers. I know there are some out there that multitask, but it's very good to have an awareness of what your farrier is doing, and it's very important that you have a relationship with your clients' farriers. So understanding what they're doing, how hoof should be balanced. It doesn't make you an expert. Please do not start having arguments with farriers. If you see something you aren't sure of, ask them why they're doing it in that particular way. But this chapter is really, really helpful to understand in a little bit more detail how farriers work and how that's important to the overall health of the horse. And then the final section, which I absolutely love this section, it's on treatment plans. So when you have horses post-injury, or even just coming back from some time off, having rest in the field, there's a really good section in the back of this book that details different treatment plans for different scenarios. So treatment plans for pain, treatment plans for swelling, treatment plans for tissue regeneration. And these plans take into account different electrotherapies, different modalities, but also manual therapies as well. They give you a guide as to what you should be doing, how you should be working. And then there's also some guide as to exercise, how much exercise you should be introducing along with those electrotherapies as well. So the book is like the holy grail for physiotherapists, in my opinion. It's not cheap. It is, I think it's €275, and then there's shipping on top of that, and then there's import duty on top of that as well. So I know they do offer a student discount if you contact them and ask for the code. And obviously, Tosi students, we do have the code to give you. So if you contact Holly in the office, she will be able to give you that code. It is a really, really good book. Honestly, I think every physio, body worker, equine therapist out there should have this book. Like I said, there's a canine version as well. I will review that another time. But I do think this is essential. This should be your sort of course manual, your course Bible. One of the great things with this book is it has all the references as well. So in each section, it will reference papers and authors. So it gives you the opportunity to go and do further reading around that subject yourself. So I do think this is a worthwhile investment for anyone that's pursuing any sort of equine bodywork career, because there is so much in it. It really does encompass everything. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't invest in other anatomy books or more specialist kinesiology taping books as well. But I do think this is a really good base to start with and then expand from there. So I hope, again, that's been useful for some of you guys. I've tried to go as quickly as I can. I appreciate this is a really long video. So Thanks for sticking with it, and I really hope it's been help for some of you.